What is up, everyone? It's Quinn here, and in today's video, I'm going to be talking about some buy low fantasy football trade targets after week 4, heading into week 5 of the NFL season. So, just players that maybe underperformed in week 4, maybe they've underperformed to start off the season that I think are going to get better, improve moving forward, and definitely increase their value. If you guys enjoyed the video, hit that like button, subscribe. If you have any questions, drop them down below. I'll make sure to get back to every single person. But let's dive right into my first buy low player here, and it is going to be Bijan Robinson. This was a down game for Bijan, not just in terms of his fantasy points, but also his usage. And I feel like that's what really makes this a very interesting spot because the usage had been really strong through the first few weeks. So someone holding on to Bijan, maybe they were frustrated with his lack of production, but at least the usage was still there. Week 4, it was kind of odd. We flashed back to last season with Algier, pretty much going 50-50 with the opportunities. Algier actually led in carries in this game. And just based on some of the comments I've been getting, on my videos over the last week or so, it definitely seems like a lot of people are turning on Bijan Robinson. And I feel like you can go one of two ways. You can just, say, all right, Bijan's done, or his value is going to completely fall off, or you can buy the dip. And I'm willing to buy the dip here with Bijan Robinson. Like I said, through 3 weeks, his usage was very solid, 20 opportunities per game. And I think you just look at this next stretch that he has here. This is a great opportunity for him to put together some monster games. I'd say of the next 5 games, he has 4+ matchups in there. He plays the Buccaneers twice, plays the Panthers once, and then the Cowboys once. And then the only not so great matchup in there is the Seahawks, which isn't like an awful matchup. I think they're 10th in terms of points per game allowed to the running back position. So the Bucs have been a great spot. Panthers, great spot. I know the Cowboys shut down the Giants run game, but comparing Bijan to Devin Singletary, I don't think they're super comparable. And so maybe Bijan Robinson hasn't lived up to his fantasy expectations, through his first 20, 21 games here. But with his opportunities, he's been productive. Last year was a usage issue. With his opportunities, he was solid. This year, he's gotten off to a slow start, but the usage has been there through 3 weeks. I still think he's the more talented running back. He has the receiving upside. I think Kirk is only going to get better moving forward coming off the torn Achilles. And I still view Bijan Robinson as a locked-in running back 1 rest of season. So I really like Bijan Robinson moving forward. And if you can buy low on someone panicking, I definitely would. Now, the next buy low player here is going to be T. Higgins. He's coming off his 2nd game of the season here. And he's been, not great through 2 weeks. Week 4, 3 receptions for 39 yards. Week 4, 6 receptions for 60 yards, but on 10 targets, which is a very, very solid number. I just think we have enough of a sample size here to tell us that when Joe Burrow and T. Higgins are healthy and on the field together, T. Higgins can give you that fringe wide receiver 1 production. In 2021, over the entire season, T. Higgins was the wide receiver 12 in points per game. In 2022, T. Higgins was a top 12 wide receiver if you remove the games where he was injured. So he had a few weird games where he left early or he would be active, but he only played a couple of snaps. When he was healthy, playing his full role, once again, he was a fringe, wide receiver 1. And then last year, obviously Joe Burrow had that injury-riddled season, so not really taking anything from that. But after missing the first 2 weeks, he's come back, like I said, some underwhelming performances. And I think at this point, most people are probably viewing T. Higgins as a wide receiver 3, somewhere in there. I'd assume most people don't think he's a top 24 guy rest of season. For me, I would have him locked in the top 24. I think he has that back end wide receiver 1 upside. And you also look at this Bengals defense. This is not a great unit. We saw in week 3, they're giving up a ton of points. Even week 4, not a great Panthers offense. They're still giving up 24. The pass rush has been questionable. If this is a team that's, allowing a lot of points, we could be getting in shootout territory where Joe Burrow is racking up the passing volume. That would be a great thing for T. Higgins if there's just a lot of volume and they're getting into these high-scoring games. So I like the talent. When they're healthy out there together, T. Higgins produces. I like him here as a buy low. And I think at worst, he's like a wide receiver 2 rest of season. My next buy low is going to be at the tight end position, and it is going to be Brock Bowers. And after a hot start to the season, he's kind of come back down to earth here over the past 2 weeks. Week 1, he went 6 for 58. Week 2, he went 9 for 98. And at that point, with all the other tight ends struggling, it was is Brock Bowers the tight end 1 rest of season? Those were some of the discussions. Week 3, 3 receptions for 41 yards. week 2, 2 for 19. Despite those rough back-to-back games, he still tied for the tight end 3 in points per game. And as a rookie, like, it would have been unrealistic to expect him to maintain the production he had in those first 2 weeks. He is still way ahead of schedule. I know Sam Laporta was like insane as a rookie last year. It is very rare for a rookie to come out, ball out right out of the gate, and I mean sustain that moving forward. Like, Laporta was doing it by getting into the end zone on a very good offense. Brock Bowers was racking up volume, yardage over 2 weeks in like a very poor situation, like solid weapons around him. Devontae Adams, Jacoby Myers, not great quarterback play, not a great offense. I still think Brock Bowers is going to be a great option moving forward. And I think based on the game script, the Raiders have been forced to be fairly pass heavy early on, weeks 1 through 3. You're looking at 33 pass attempts week 1, 38 week 2, 40 week 3. Week 4 wasn't really the case. And then you look at the next 2 weeks, Broncos, Steelers, those are probably low volume games. But then you look at the rest of their schedule. You're looking at the Rams, who should have their wide receivers back at that point, the Chiefs, the Bengals, the Dolphins, who could have Tua back, Broncos again, which, could be low volume. Then you have the Chiefs again, and then the Buccaneers. So there's going to be a nice stretch there where they're probably going to be underdogs in most of those games. They're probably going to be trailing, which means the passing volume is going to be there. Brock Bowers has already broken out, in a year with awful tight end production. I still think he has a great opportunity to be a top 3 guy rest of season. And I also think if the Raiders struggle, this could be a spot where Devontae Adams gets moved. And I know he really didn't do anything with Devontae Adams out. Like, this seemed like it would have been a good spot for him. It didn't happen. But I do think it would be a big plus if Devontae Adams gets moved, and now he's like a clear top target with Jacoby Myers on this roster. So I like Brock Bowers. So in a year where the tight end position is struggling, if you can buy low on one of those top options, I definitely would. And then my fourth and final buy low here, definitely a little bit more of a sleeper option. We have Braelon Allen. And I think this is a very interesting buy window here for him because coming into the week, I pretty much viewed him as like a top tier handcuff who could be used as a desperate start. I think some people were probably higher on him just based on the usage he had week 2, week 3. He had 11 opportunities in both of those games. But my concern is that he wasn't working in on the goal line, and he also wasn't overly involved as a pass catcher. And so like 11 opportunities is fine, but if the touchdown upside's not consistently there and you don't have a ton of receiving upside, it's going to be tough to have much of a floor and be playable. And I know he had the 2 touchdowns in week 2, but that was pretty much just like all him ripping off big plays. And his usage didn't really change dramatically on Sunday. Still had 9 opportunities, took 1 of 3 goal line snaps, which I guess is a slight improvement, but he took 0 of the 2-minute drill snaps and then only 3 of the 11 third downs. The thing that I think maybe changes here is that Breece Hall has not been all that great through 4 weeks. I think he's a great running back. I do think he'll pick it up, but he's at 3.1 yards per carry on 56 attempts. In yesterday's game, 10 carries for 4 total yards. He was also stuffed twice on the goal line. So this is not me panicking on Breece. I still think he's a locked-in fantasy running back 1 rest of season. But Saleh was asked after the game about not using Braelon Allen on the goal line, and he basically said it was something that they could look at, but they still view Breece Hall as their workhorse back, which I think is a fine answer. You're not cutting it off, but you're still giving props to Breece. But I don't really think you would say Breece is the workhorse back. Like, most workhorses are not having another running back get 9, 10, 11 opportunities a game, which is what we've seen over the past few weeks here. And it definitely would not be crazy to see the 6'1", 235-pound running back, Braelon Allen, work in there on the goal line. So if he's sitting around 10 to 12 opportunities per game, which is what we're looking at, in the last 3 weeks, and now has some sort of touchdown upside, I'm not even saying he takes over the goal line role like 100%, because I don't think he's going to do that. But if he can go 50-50 with Breece on the goal line with those opportunities, now you're looking at someone who's like a weekly high-end RB3 with top 24 upside based on bye weeks, injuries, or just a plus matchup here. So I think you do have the opportunity to buy low after this 5.6 PPR point game. And I didn't even mention the upside of, like, he still is a handcuff. So if Breece were to go down, Braelon Allen is a locked-in top 10, maybe even top 5 guy if Breece Hall suffers an injury. So I like the buy low window here on Braelon Allen. Also like it on the other 3 I talked about, Bijan Robinson, T. Higgins, Brock Bowers. So that's going to wrap it up for this one. If you guys enjoyed, hit that like button, subscribe. Any questions, drop them down below. But thank you all for stopping by, and I will see you in the next one.